Greetings and the best of salutations. That would be prayer, power, peace, patience, and prosperity. There is a saying by an individual talk about that the unspoken word. For me, when I think of word, I think of integrity. When I think of word, how it is sounding in how it is expressed, I think of it as something that is weird. Weird, a word. And also that which resonates is that which is to be heard. Who controls the narrative? What do you refer to, and what is your reference point? I want to also try to deal with when it comes to the unspoken word and how it manifests itself physically when it comes to the pain, the frustration, the anxiety, and the disappointments. There is something termed emotional reasoning. It's when you let your feelings and guide your interpretations of reality. There is no logic in it. It's just feelings. Feelings is something that you touch. You feel it, bam. You know you're not touched it anymore. Emotions is something that it's inside of you. We all have those emotions. How do we interpret reality? How can we interpret something that which we never saw before or never experienced before? So we're just learning along the way. If an individual has not experienced any material success and have come to experience the material success, he or she is trying to make an adjustment to how to manage his or her emotions as well as his feelings when it comes to the material success that he or she has at his or her disposal. You could misappropriately use it because there is no balance in one's life. That which one can find a way to resemble something that, or as a model and a guide that will give you that understanding of what needs to be done and how you need to go about doing it. And if the model that is given to you is misguided, then therefore you will follow that particular model. It says that I feel depressed, therefore my marriage is not working out. That's not the case. One can equate his or her feelings of how he or she feels and say, well, that's why his marriage is not working out. It's just emotional reasoning. It's not nothing logical behind it at all. So when one is unable to deal with the unspoken word, the pain, the disappointment, the frustration, the anxiety, he or she will act out physically because he or she has not been able to manage his or her feelings as well as his emotions. Language. I liken language into an aspect of one's behavior. It's just an aspect of one's behavior. Because, words makes us who we are. Language, when we look at the word language, and we see in that term, it may have it seems like it has some French connotations in the pronunciation of it. Even the word reference, it has France or French in it. It could be associated with the land of the Franks. I don't know. But it does tie to that. Reference, and we have the word reverence. Yeah, that which we hold in awe and with respect. Because you could tell the meaning of a thing in the context in which it is used. It's all about the intentions in which a person use a thing, and that's why we live in a society with someone who controls the narrative. But you must manage and control your emotions and act emotionally, because those who control the narrative, they are bent on controlling your emotions, and therefore anything that you go about doing, and you do it in a very illogical way. My concern is that there is a teaching that says that be guided on the straight path, and I'm just using this reference, is that that I do not do, or have not done, or will not do, I should say, any unjust act to anyone. There's a term called nostalgia, which means you try to, you go back to your original pain. I mean, who wants to go back to their original pain? And it seems as though there are times when people will want to blindly celebrate in a frenzy the success of others, even though they are successful, but yet materially successful, but yet they are in pain. Yeah, they are in pain, and it would physically manifest itself. Yes, we see the evidence point to it. The origin, people want to go back to their origin, and someone says that we should not relish in the past, but I realize the past is just a reference point, it's not a place of residence. We want to reside there. Let's look at the narrative when it comes to anxiety and frustration, disappointment, emotional reasoning, and dealing with he or she debunking he or she who controls the narrative. There is a term called Hebrew. Yes, there's a term called Hebrew. He is a pronoun that takes the place of a noun. Brew is a mixture, which means you are referencing something or some matter. Something that some matter or something that matters to you. That which we are subject to is matter. And that which you're reference to is something that you identify with. And that which you identify with, it's not natural. It's not natural. Which means it's almost like someone who controls the narrative deliberately wants to arouse something in you that makes you to become very hostile and extreme. Yeah. When you're mixing alcohol and when you mix something together and it becomes fermented, yes, it creates a chemical unbalance, which means it intensifies. It intensifies. It intensifies. So that means that people will tend to interact with one another, and their human relations and the human relations will be superficial and artificial. It won't be real, which means it ties to emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning, which means you let your feelings guide interpretation of reality, and this is what we see what's being transpired. Then they deal with the word contrite or contrive, something that is artificially planned. Especially it is done so in a very deliberate, obvious way. It is obvious in the manner and the way in which we interact, in which we treat each other. When it comes to the unspoken word which will physically manifest itself, our anxiety, our disappointments, our frustrations, creates a hostile environment because the narrative has been created that we become suspicious of each other. An environment of doubt. So, I believe I probably want to stop right there. And only because there is nothing else that can be said at this point in time without me being like extreme. And trying to highlight certain things that I think will be important. And I'm hoping that I personally continue to do my best to manage my feelings, my emotions, my thoughts, my attitude, and language, as well as activity / behavior. And that it will not, the unspoken word, that it will not physically manifest itself to do harm to anyone. Even though the hurt and harm has been done to me. Because needless to say, you can tell how a person really feels about him or herself and how a person feels about you. It's how he or she treats you and how he or she treats him or herself. And how a person treats him or herself is important, yet it is equally important of how we treat each other, because there's a saying, treat people how you want to be treated. Until next time, talk to you. Consciousness is rising rapidly, but may we just not be so extreme. Remember, the spirit must be balanced with the conscious. The logic must be balanced with the emotion. The science and the religion must be balanced. The yin and the yang, the two dispositions. Once they are balanced, we become cognitive, aware, clear, and coherent. And we can sing that song. I can see clearly now that the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles that is in my way. So it's going to be a bright, sunshiny day.